What's going on, everybody? Back again with my partner, Ryan Walsh from Hard Money Bankers, Ian Walsh, Hard Money Bankers, talking about all things not real estate, apparently. But we are private lenders in the area. We like to keep in touch with the markets in both real estate and the stock market because they kind of come hand in hand. And obviously, the stock market has gained a lot of attention in the past few days, and we thought it would be a good idea to have the closing bell here because today started off pretty violently from last night. Hopefully anybody that's been watching has been paying attention. We have Grande in the news. We have the debt ceiling in the news. We've got a technical analysis perspective, which is kind of what we're showing on this show. More so is that the technical analysis is showing for the first time since COVID a real threat to the uptrend, which is putting us into a potential bear market. And that's really what the whole focus of the show is. The backdrop to all of that. We have a lot of domino pieces in the background right now that are showing, concern. And, we have things like Grande is the big one. We're still waiting for that big named thing to come out. Jeremy Reed pointed out this morning, and my wife pointed out that, there's these major crazy supply chain issues going on right now. What do you think about that, Ryan? What do you think about the supply chain issues with like cargo ships sitting in the water? I feel like there's a battlefield that's set all around us, and then they hit the switch and say, go. And then they're going to be like, and all these ships that have been around, but they've been out there for months, dealing with this, but they needed the news release to all come out at once. So I feel like all the pieces have been moved into play, and now they're going to release all the news, and it's going to be like one after the other. What do you think?
It certainly feels that way. I mean, something that could definitely disrupt an economy is supply chain. It's almost what's that ship that got caught in the Panama Canal? Do you know what I'm talking about? Happened a few months. Yes, you do. Happened a few months ago. There's all these jokes about the ship that got stuck, and it was about 7 days, and no ships could go through the Panama Canal.
Okay.
How do you not know what I'm talking about? Anyway.
You have to follow markets to remember that stuff.
Gotcha. Well, anyway, it did disrupt the market when it happened. And everyone was saying, oh my gosh, 7 days of ships not going through the Panama Canal really impacted random products, right? Like it depended on what got caught in that canal, right? And what wasn't delivered for 7 days. So if you have something going on that's a whole country, such as China, but I mean, possibly it's happening throughout the world, it could really disrupt an economy. So if it is happening, it's all murmurs, like you said, like the chess pieces have been moved, and are we about to kick off? So yeah, I think supply chain could be a very big worldwide impact.
So I think what we still need to find is the backdrop to all of this, right? So like when you think about the way that a market or like a crash is happening, right? You need a theme to pull it all together. They have to have a theme. When I say they, I mean like honestly, your big wealth management companies, the biggest firms in the world, Goldman Sachs, all of them. Like this is all premeditated. Evergrande's been going on for a year. Why is it coming out right now? Like the supply chain stuff, but they've been out in the ocean for months. Why is this coming about now? They're putting the news out there, so it's all coming together. But there always has to be a theme that ties it together, right? So what's that theme?
Well, because what I was just talking about, I Googled this while you were doing that. Suez Canal. Does that
Suez Canal? Okay, yes, I do.
Evergreen was the ship name.
Oh man, that's
coincidence. I don't know.
That's too much. That's too much. Too close.
Too close. Okay, sorry, keep going.
So what I'm thinking about is the fact that right now I lost my train of thought. Oh, so we need a theme to tie it all together, right? So like what they can't just have like pieces moving, such as okay, we have a supply chain issue over here, and then people are going, why is that happening? Why is that happening? Oh, we have a debt ceiling over here. Why is that happening? What it has to do is go, okay, we make Evergrande the backdrop. That collapses. Then this week is like everybody hits the big shock and the market takes a big plunge, right? After what we're having right now, we're watching the positioning of the big pieces, big plunge. Then it's like, well, when's it going to rally? When's it going to find a bottom? Then there's going to be this news that comes out about supply chain issues, right? And then but they've already moved this. The supply chain issues are already a problem, but they're going to bring that news out when they want to slam the market again. So they rally the market up, free some liquidity, drop it back down with supply chain issues. Next thing they're going to do is going to go, what was the other thing we're totally, debt ceiling crisis, right? They're going to be like, well, with the backdrop of Evergrande, now is a more important time than ever to not vote this against. And then they're going to make the debt ceiling thing focused around the Evergrande collapse. and that's going to sway the vote, right? So like all of these pieces are going to need a backdrop to be tied together, and everybody's going to be sick of hearing about the Grand Recession, right? Because it's just going to keep, every time you hear anything, it's just going to plunge. It's just going to plunge. It's just going to plunge. So like that theme has to come out. It's not out yet. And to me, that's the big thing that we're waiting for, is like, what's the big theme that they're going to use to tie it together? To me right now, it seems like, that's going to be the biggest, most logical thing, I guess.
Yeah, because I mean, if you want to compare it to 2008, which is always what everyone does, right? You compare it to the last crash. Basically, what we're saying right now is we could be in the storm right now. And if you were to go back to 2008 when that happened, there weren't people making streaming videos, right? It wasn't out there. It was whatever Fox News or CNN was saying. So now you have people kind of saying like, hey, I think this is the start of it. So if we were to redo this back in 2008, we'd be making this video right now being like, hey, is everybody watching what's going on with the Lehman Brothers? Right? Like, is that going to be like the start of the news? That kind of thing.
Right. So we're waiting for like the Big Short thing to whatever that thing is. And then Lehman led to the next one, and then we landed where we were. So to start the stream though, I thought this is going to be, I'm not supporting Trump. I'm not supporting Biden. I just thought this would be funny for the stream. This is where we are. This is where we're about to be right now. This is like, we're about to hit this. So
sure.
Biden's going to have his plate full, and
I would not want to be president right now.
No, this is a time when, he's trying to fight one battle completely off the radar from this. But what I do think is going to happen is this is going to just come in like a wave and knock all the current news off the, off the table, such as like all the COVID talk and all that stuff. I think that's going to be put enormously on the back burner. And this is going to be the forefront, it's just,
if it's real, right? If this hits land, as we've been saying.
Yeah. So correct. So with that said, that's a perfect segue into, let's look at the charts, because that's why all of the people have come here to look, right? So, so there's a different act here on this chart, as I'm going to bring it up to the stream. So this is the Dow daily chart. I kind of like cleaned up from earlier, and I'm just going to put the basic lines in again of where we were. So I'm going to have to try to do this without getting too over the top with.
So you're drawing in now our price to watch. That's what we're saying. So we do not provide financial advice, so do not do.
Yeah, this is not investment advice. Everything I say is wrong. Do not do anything I say. It's not investment advice. This is just for fun, and kind of. So look here. And no, screwed it up. I thought I practiced that well. So there we go.
Good.
So, why didn't it didn't give me the cool line? Son of a bitch. So the under here, under this line, right? If we close under this, yeah.
Nice.
So if we close under this right here, this is confirming a bear market. This is the pivot. This is the pivot that we've been talking about day in, day out. This is the pivot that we're looking to see if it forms. If we close under here, we are looking at a real pivot. And a pivot means the bears are in control. Now, the background to all of this has been what I think is the bears controlling this whole move down. And we started out, as it started to form this pattern, we started to talk about the backside retest, which was of this big trend line up here, of this magnified thing. And we had that backside retest right here. This is where it came into play that day. And that was where that one came in. Now, we didn't have one yet up here, which you can still do. There's two trend lines that really needed tested. And if they're really pulling out all the stops before a crash, they might bring it up here, because that really what it will do is threaten the bears. Because if you get up to where this circle is, if you back up, you can see that circle would be like up in this area, which everybody goes, oh, we're going back to all-time highs. And my thought is, if they were to bring this back up here to all-time high area, they might do something like run it through like quickly with a probe, so it looks like this kind of candle, and then rip it back down. That's a possibility. So I don't, as of today, as I was messaging you, Ryan, I said I'm getting into territory that this was all really clean to me. This was all really easy for me to read as a chartist. I could see this happening. That all made sense to me right there. But this candle today is tricky because it starts to bring in a whole bunch of different options. So what I wanted to do today during the show was outline the possibilities. So I think there's a battleground that has been set at this point in the market. And that battleground is what we call, and you can draw this kind of from anywhere, but what a chartist would call a bear flag or a triangle. So a triangle would look something like this.
That is what a triangle looks like. Yes, thank you.
Yes, it would. Yes. So the important part of a triangle, though, is where you draw it is off a very important high and two important highs you connect together to two important lows. But this didn't make a low and this didn't make a high, and as you put it together, it creates this triangle effect. Well, triangle, typically what you see happen, not always, but what you see is it starts to really compress. So you start to get candles that keep building and building and building until they're smaller and smaller, and then they get to the point of the triangle, right? And then at that point of the triangle, there's a lot of compression in the market. At that point, though, what you normally see is a fake out, a big fake out play. So this is the battleground that we're in right now, and there's a lot of things that can happen. So we had today, so we're in a triangle. We had a very strong attack at the bear line that got rallied, like hit hard. So buyers did step in today, no question about it. Question is it a trap by the bears? So if you're a buyer, what you want to see here is first thing you got to really do is take out the position on the highs from Thursday. That has to be the first thing that has to go. The next major line in the sand for you as a buyer is this right here. You need to take out the backside retest right here. So these are your two battle lines. So 1, 2. Third one is you need to take out the backside retest over here, and then your final one, which this whole thing isn't over until we make new highs. It would be new highs. So wait, actually, let me draw this better. It's probably small on the stream. Okay. So again, the line for buyers is 1 right here, because you want to take out the highs from Thursday. That was a very potent move that put a lot of people on notice. 2 would be here. This was the backside retest of that enormous trend line. You need to kill these buyers right here. You need to take them out. The third one would be here on this bigger trend line, which we haven't touched yet. And then the next one is the all-time highs. Now, in the event that we get up to let me see, bear with me. In the event that we get up to this area, what then has happened is you've created a true double bottom, and it would look like this, and it makes this W. So that W is a very potent buyer signal for the technical analysis people. This is like big buyers step in here. They across the top of this node. So there's already buyers here that have formed this. So there's already buyers stepping in today where we are. Then the next move they want to make is above the right here. And then once they come into there, typically what you see is a brief pullback, and then if it's real buyers, it's a pullback and then up. That's the pattern for a chartist that they want to see. Now that's for buyers. Now if we're still in a bear market, what you can see at this point, there's 2 things that we can see occur, or a few things, but you could see a play up to, I'm just going to give the options because at this point there's, like I said, I was clear up until now. And now because we have a battle, I don't know who's in control. So you could have a play up to here that they fake it out up to this trend line and then they rip it back down and catch everybody off guard. A lot of times you see that in a triangle that's forming. You usually see before the triangle breaks, you see a fake out to one side or the other. So being that this is like a bear triangle, it would hedge the bet and say, we're going to have a fake out to the upside of this triangle. And then we're going to go straight down from there. They usually it's usually a pretty fast move as well. So that would be one bear option. The more direct bear option from where we stand right now is just straight up. Everybody gets scared over the weekend. And the most obvious one is this is a Japanese candle signal right here. And this Japanese candle signal is slightly favoring the buyers right here, because So we sold real hard. Buyers stepped in, and they engulf. There, there's debatably still an engulfing pattern, meaning there's still the sellers really are still in control here. But there's a pretty big buy symbol. So, but if we're gonna, the very obvious bear play in this war right here is just straight down. You just go straight down from here and take out the buyers. And then if you were to take out 1,000 points up day of buyers at this point, like, think that through. We had a crazy down day that scared everybody. Everybody on Facebook started to look at my post, right? That was yesterday. That was this day right here, right here. Then the next day we get these buyers. That's a huge amount of buyers that step in and said, nope, we're buying. Well, if we were to just cancel these buyers right out and just erase them, delete them, there's no more debate between this whole triangle thing. It's just straight down from here. And we cross this line. So if Monday were to set up in a scenario where we just straight up took these buyers out, made a close under this blue line, this whole triangle debate is off. Like, they're not even trying to hide it at this point. It's just straight up gone. And then we're into the real, we get into this danger area that hopefully it's easy to see now. Like, I'm really pointing this area out is like, we all need to pay attention, right? Like, that's the big one. So that's how I see the battlegrounds playing out right now.
Hopefully we're a few days away from that, and it's not going to just creep up or not. It wouldn't be a creep up. It'd be a boom on Monday if it got to there. But I guess if I were to recap your options here, price is either going to go up or down. So let's start with that. It's either going to go up or it's going to go down. But also, so there's 3 moves that you got pending. Bears could show their cards Monday if they're going to do it. 2, it could become the flag, the wedge, right? Where we see a little bit of a battle, pressure building. Or 3, the buyers are going to retest the first trend line that you have there.
So yeah, we're going to go up or we're going to go down. It's a funny way to say it, but like, I was very clear about what was happening when when we started to make this move. And now we've entered into an area where I can definitely say the buyers have made their presence known. So once you get into that area, it's not as clear to me. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is what's happening for sure. This is my bull right here, by the way.
You made him red. That's a bear and a unicorn.
No, that's a bull. That's a ferocious bull.
I say,
and a mean bear. So, but nonetheless, we're in a position where it's not as clear to me. Everything I was kind of reading out and paying attention to, saying this will happen next, this will happen next, because the Bears were clearly in control. I would say for the first time since this all started, the buyers have finally shown themselves. The true, hey, I'm a bull and this has to go up. So the only other option that I didn't cover in this scenario was a fake out on the bull side. Now, the reason I didn't really cover this as much was because this is relative to that triangle. If we had the bulls go down and then make it go back up, a head fake down and then up, it'd be less probable that is the case just because we have a bear triangle. The bear triangle's down. If we had like a bull triangle, meaning that it was pointing up, like something like this one right here, this is kind of a bull triangle, you can see that this took off more to the upside. This was favoring an upside breakout right there, whereas this one is favoring a downside breakout. Is that fairly clear?
Yeah, you just turn your head upside down.
Basically, yeah. I'm looking right now to see if I can find like a triangle on the screen that would have been like, like the fake, just what the fake out kind of looks like, but nothing's really jumping out to me right now. So from a chartist perspective, like those are like the patterns that I find to be important. And I think the bigger thing is like I can draw patterns and triangles and all this stuff all day long. Like we all can. You can see whatever you want to see in a chart, right? Like you can see double tops or double bottoms. Like what do you see here? Do you see a double? Bulls are seeing a double bottom. Okay, bears are seeing the pivot. Like that's what you're seeing here. So if you're a bear, you see, you're seeing what your mind wants you to see. The question is who's in control. And from the charts perspective, you consider the fundamental aspects behind the scenes. And right now, it's not like this is a bear pullback and there's like a little bit of bad news on the horizon and a whole bunch of positive news potentially happening, or hey, they're about to drop interest rates again, so everything's going to be cheap. It's like there's a whole lot of tension in bad news looming behind the scenes right now. So any move that hits this market, the fundamentals, the information behind the moves on the chart are going to support a downward bias. And that bias would then complete patterns for the bears. So on any given chart, you can always see an argument for a bull or a bear. In fact, that's probably been, from the people I've known over the years in this business, that's probably been one of the sides that I've been like, I had the most difficult time figuring out, because usually people will form an opinion very definitively on the day ahead of them. And I was just like, well, no, I can see where the bears make an argument. I can see where the bulls make an argument. And because I do that, I don't know if it's a detriment or not in what I do. I think I figured out a way to make that work. But if you look at any given chart, the motion for an up or down play is always there. It's always there. And then when it happens, people like to look back and go, oh, I was so smart. I looked at this. I saw this coming. It's like, not really. I mean, you made up a good argument for it, but you could have been just as right as you are wrong. And that's why you play small stops when you're in the market, right? Everybody plays small stops because you're making a bet based on an argument that you're putting together. And then you play a small stop to try your bet. And if your bet works, great. And you can think you look like a genius, but the truth is, if you get that kind of, if you don't have humility when you trade, the market will make sure you become humble, because the next trade you'll take won't have a stop on it because you think the next move. You're just putting together a bet that lands up, and if it plays out, great. So this bet that we're putting together is like the macroeconomic world bet that we're functioning together on this daily chart. And it really just became a thing to put on here because the fundamentals behind it on the big picture are worth noting, that they're supporting each down move. And that's really important. Really important on the macro level. So, what do you think, right? Like, do you think we're going to get news over the weekend? I mean, news over the weekend, anything right now will spook this market. So if we get news on this weekend, which is possible, they love to drop news on a Sunday, right? Like, you're just sitting home alone and they're like, enjoying your meal with your family. And they're like, oh, by the way, Amazon is shut down for the next 6 months because we can't get any supply. Hey, speaking of, have you noticed on Amazon that their delivery times have been delayed? Is that correlated? I don't know. I was just thinking about that today.
I haven't noticed that, but I have not been paying attention to be honest. I mean, yeah, I'd agree. Like, the market's super sensitive right now, more so than normal, which is why there's huge days there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't really have any input of people going into this weekend. Just keep your eye out on the news. There's not much you can do over the weekend anyway, right? So.
Right, which makes it even more tense, right? So, like, when you can't do anything on the weekends, like, one of my rules for me is I don't carry over the weekends on day trades or anything like that, because if something happens on a Saturday, you are just subject to a giant gap on a Sunday night or something. You don't want to be caught in this right here, like that empty space. If you were long, you just got hurt. Like, that hurt a lot, depending on how many, what you had on the market that day. So, or this one right here, they've done it, this is probably like another Saturday. These gaps, they don't show up a ton, but when they do, it's going to hurt you and it catches you off guard. So that's all I got. I think we'll keep doing the shows, and, these sweet charts that I put together are going to,
more drawings. I think we need more drawings from you, more bears, more bulls.
I think I have to save this. I think we're going to see how long we can take these, like how far I can take, like how many times can I doctor up one of these things before it's just a bloody mess of of chart. You know what I mean?
I mean, my plan is, if this is, the crash, we'll make a time compilation video of our,
like quick clips.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that would be great
on September. Because when did we first start this? 18th or so. The day I remember you have an email out to us last Friday.
No, it was last Sunday night.
There was a two for, I don't know. At some point, you're like, "Yo, have you guys heard of Evergrande?" And we're like, "What?" And we all Googled it, and we're like, "Okay." And then it was, 2 days later, it was all over the news. So I'll put something together segmented like that.
Yeah, because I think I started, or you and I don't know if it was you and me or just me, but I started documenting on Facebook because I think it was that. So Sunday night, I was like, I was looking for the news. I was like, something's got to break because something's not right. So it was like Thursday and Friday, I started putting charts up, and then Sunday we got the Evergrande news. Monday, Tuesday, everybody heard about Evergrande, and then it was on and it's been on from there. So,
Well,
yeah,
what's your
like
opinion right now? Is anything off on the charts that has your like, you know, feels off, or are things kind of lined up and you're like it could go either way at this point?
I mean, when I get into these a war zone on the triangle like this, I don't really truly know. Like I'm not as clear. So like if I was a betting man, I would just stay clear because I can see either side too easily. It can work. But what I can say, the things that, like, if I had to make a decision, if you put a gun to me and said, hey, are you a bull or a bear? Is this going to work? I'm going to say bear because Nathan Krauthammer wants me to say bear. No, but because
it's good reason.
He'll understand if he's watching or watches this far into the show, he'll understand it. But I'm going to say bear because of the major points being the trend lines that broke, the big trend lines that broke. I'm going to say the backside retest. I'm going to say the fundamentals behind everything are lining up. Like the news that is sitting there and looming is not good. And the biggest tell, I think the biggest thing that really caught me off guard when I think I really started to originally look at it was on, on this bar and this attack. This is the first time I said, holy cow, we haven't seen this kind of volatility attack a trend line in a long time. So the volatility right now, and this is when we were at like this bar, I was like, all right, if we start to see 1,000-point days, everybody look out. And then boom, it was like our first 1,000-point day was right in here. And then obviously these last few days have been whoa. So this typically, if I had might not be worth it, but if you go back, Ryan, to do you have the daily chart, the Dow daily in front of you or no?
Yeah.
Can you share your screen and bring up, go back to COVID?
What, you want the daily for the last year?
What is that? March of 2020. I need to see the COVID drop on the daily.
I could do 2 years. Yeah,
how
2 years works.
How do I share your screen?
I gotta add it in.
Okay.
Give me a second before you do. I just gotta hide my account.
So what I'm gonna do is show, like, I was looking for, I want to show what it looks like before everybody kind of knows.
Go ahead. You can add it in.
Okay. So yeah, can you zoom to like that right before that? Like, look how terrifying that drop is.
Do you want me to zoom in pre-COVID?
Just start zooming and then okay, here we go. So keep zooming again one more time. Like right before COVID.
You want me to zoom in again? That's COVID.
Zoom in one more time. Okay. So if you look at, I mean, this is super obvious, but if you go back to like the first big red day off the top, right there. Yeah, right. So you know exactly what I was talking about. We weren't in lockdown at this point. We were just hearing about this virus coming from China at this point. So this was still the rumblings at this point. But when you look back, you go, oh shit, how do we not see that? Like, look at what that looks like on a chart. It just dwarfs everything, right? Like when you look behind it, you go, man, that was the first. We had the gap down right before two bars before it. We had the gap down, right? And then you had a huge volatile day, and then it was just on. And I was like, man, we haven't seen days like that again. But if we ever see days like that again, we better be on the lookout. Well, scroll forward now to today.
Well, hey, but I guess before we do, I mean, I would say we're in a similar move to this right now.
Yeah. Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. So at this point, we've confirmed. I forget what day we went into lockdown in there, but the lockdown day it was just see ya.
I was in New York City when this happened, and I remember it was a big deal when they decided March Madness is canceled.
Yeah, that was way bigger than lockdown.
Yeah, but it was around the same time, so it was around here I don't know if you
Mhm.
can see kind of what I'm circling. Around here is when everyone said, "Oh shit." Right? But look,
Yeah.
like it's the move's already like 3/4 of the way done.
Right. And that's what I'm tipping everybody off to right now is it's already happening. We just haven't gotten the oh no moment. But it's all in the background. It's all around us, but it hasn't happened yet. So, and you're correct. That pivot, see how the pivot confirms? So, yeah, there's your pivot. And then you go down and get the first red bar that gaps over that. There's your close over the pivot. Now the bears go, we're here. Like, surprise, we're here. That is the moment that everybody goes, this is a real bear move. So that's the bar I'm waiting for right now to form here, is that close under our moment. And then we're going to really know. So it can only take a few days to really mature this news, and then go. Yeah. So can you scroll out to, so first of all, look at the volume.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. It's crazy. Look at the volume as well. See how big the volume is. Now go back to COVID and look at COVID's volume. Same thing. Huge jump in volume, right?
Mm.
So scroll out though, compare the COVID volume to today's volume, just out of curiosity. Or like not today's, but like overall.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of see it.
I wouldn't say it's bigger volume than the last, call it 4 or 5 months, but it's not COVID volume yet. So we could have some huge volume showing up. But I mean, here you go, right? For the draw a trend line, I want you to just draw the most obvious trend line you can connect from here. That still exists.
I don't know how to draw a trend line on this guy.
Just probably like a line option or something. Yeah, there you go. No, that one's broken. Try the next one. You can't draw it off the bottom. Here's a hint. You can't draw it off the bottom.
Then what am I drawing off of?
Probably the next pivot down. Yeah, start there. This is just the obvious play. Start there. Yeah.
Having some. Computer chat. There we go. This?
Yeah, draw it all the way up. And so there's that. That's the one. That's the line on my screen that you keep seeing that we're doing the backside retest on.
Basically the kiss of death.
Right. There's one more line though that holding everything together. Go to the yep. And yep. So we all know which one that is. So beyond that, I don't know what to tell you. There's our 32,000, right?
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
Yep. So
we're in it.
So you can like, it's not really complex stuff, right? It was just the most obvious thing sitting in front of us in front of me that I just drew out, and like anybody can see it. Anybody can see the last defense there. And usually the most obvious player is where you're going to get the most volatility. And that's where we are right now. And once we started breaking some of those major trend lines, I was like, oh boy. So, at the very least, we're due for a major correction. At the, very possibly a real crash or a real bear market. And a bear market can last years and it could take decades to recover, if that. So
have a good weekend, everyone.
have a great weekend. Nothing to think about. Everything should be fine. There's not going to be a gap down on Monday. There's not going to be crazy news, and your 401ks are okay. I mean, this is, the next move is the one where the boomers are moving in with their kids. So I don't know where the pensions get wiped out, but your wealth manager is going to get fired if the bear market happens. So yeah. Buy low. Goes for stocks and goes for real estate. Buy low. You don't lose in investing when you buy low.
Rules haven't changed.
All right. Till if Monday does anything nutty, we'll be back on. We'll keep track of it Sunday night. If not, then we'll reconvene Tuesday. So we'll try to stay within the action of the market.
Sounds good. Alrighty. Have a good weekend.